the most powerful chosen ones. There are messages that come through noise, and then there are messages that arrive through silence. If you're hearing this now, it's not because you stumbled on another video. It's because something ancient inside you finally aligned with its frequency. This channel isn't built for curiosity. It was designed like a signal, a quiet transmission sent across dimensions to find the few who already carry the seal. The letter M on your palms was never a coincidence. It was an early whisper from the divine blueprint, proof that your energy was recognized before this world ever wrote your name. They told you destiny begins the day you're born, but the truth is yours began before heartbeat, before breath, before memory. You weren't born into time, you were coded into it. That's why time behaves differently around you. Moments seem to repeat, same hours, same numbers. You wake up at 3:03 without setting an alarm. You check your phone and it reads 5:15. Oh, notice receipts that end with 909, license plates with 1313. These aren't random patterns. They are echoes from the realm that sent you here. The ones who were marked before the body formed, they don't learn through coincidence. They remember through repetition. Look at your hands for a moment. Really look. You've probably traced those lines 1,000 times. The deep intersections, the natural fold that shapes itself into an M. Maybe you noticed it as a child and felt an odd comfort you couldn't explain. Maybe others saw it and laughed, called it superstition, but a quiet part of you always knew it meant something. That mark isn't decoration, it's registration. It's the divine version of a spiritual passport, a seal placed by higher design that confirms you belong to the order of souls sent ahead of time to restore balance when the world forgets its rhythm. They come to recalibrate. They feel everything stronger: joy, pain, intuition, isolation. Their emotions aren't random. The instruments. The universe doesn't speak to them through words. It speaks through pressure, timing, and symbolic numbers that repeat until they finally understand. That's why some of you have lived through cycles of loss and rebirth, why you've been misunderstood by family, friends, lovers, why peace never feels permanent, because your purpose was coded with motion. Stillness is not your destiny. Awakening is. Let me tell you something few dare to speak aloud. Before birth, the souls of the chosen don't fall randomly into human form. They are summoned. During certain lunar alignments, when the veil between realms thins, an invitation is sent out, a call written in vibration, not sound. Those who respond carry fragments of a sacred frequency. When their bodies form, that vibration imprints itself into physical matter, into palms, skin, bone, and energy fields. That is why the letter M shows up where no one intended it. The shape itself represents the union between heaven and earth, peaks and one valley, the descent of spirit into matter, the rise of matter back to spirit. You are living geometry. You are sacred architecture walking in human skin. And every number that finds you, 303, 515, 909, 1313, acts like a door code. Each sequence awakens a different memory. 303 appears when you're between endings and beginnings, a sign that creation and closure are happening at once. 515 follows moments of heartbreak or confusion, a reminder that divine rearrangement is not loss, but calibration. 909 is the closing note of old karma. It means you've already paid for what you once misunderstood. 1313 arrives when you are being called to lead quietly, not from spotlight, but from integrity. These aren't numbers. They're timestamps from a realm that doesn't forget. For many of you, Childhood was strange. You probably remember moments of knowing things before they happened. Maybe you spoke dreams that came true, or felt others' emotions like they were your own. People, toughen up, to stop being so sensitive. But that sensitivity was never weakness, it was radar. You weren't designed to blend in. You were placed to detect imbalance, emotional, spiritual, even environmental. When you walk into a room and suddenly feel heavy or drained, it's because your frequency starts adjusting the energy around you. You transmute chaos simply by existing. But here's the hidden cost. Most chosen ones live their first decades thinking something's wrong with them. They confuse their empathy for fragility, their foresight for anxiety, their solitude for loneliness. The truth is, isolation was your classroom. The divine doesn't hide its chosen, it hones them. That's why your life has had patterns of loss followed by sudden gain. The universe builds you by dismantling everything that isn't authentic. Every betrayal was sandpaper. Every delay, a carving. You were never being punished. You were being shaped for precision. This is why this channel exists. It's not entertainment or algorithmic curiosity. It's a beacon, a meeting point for the ones who were never meant to sleep through their calling. If you found this message, it's not because of chance. It's because the pattern finally caught you. The numbers, the dreams, the restlessness that won't let you go back to normal. You're here because something ancient wants you to remember. This is not your first lifetime carrying the mark. It's the soul's way of saying, we're continuing where we left off. In some lives, you built. In others, you healed. In this one, you awaken. Every story you've lived so far, the moments that broke you, the times you stood alone, were rehearsals for recognition. Recognition of who you are, and of why you're here now, in an age where noise is endless and truth is rare. Let's talk about the unseen preparation, the period before you took form. There's a belief, old as the stars, that the chosen ones do not descend through random birth lines. They negotiate parents. Your birthplace, your timing, even the season you arrived in, were coordinates pre-selected for resonance. You weren't born to the wrong family. You were born to the family that would pressure you into remembering who you are. Sometimes that means love. Other times, that means rejection. Both are tools of awakening. When you were still unformed, floating between realms, the divine architects asked one question: will you carry the code again? And you said yes, without knowing how heavy that yes would feel once you entered flesh. You said yes to being misunderstood. You said yes to carrying ancient memory in a world that forgets itself daily. You said yes to being a bridge between logic and spirit, between what can be seen and what must be felt. And that is why your life has always had an undercurrent of purpose you couldn't explain. It's not imagination. It's residue, leftover vibration from the place you came from. Some of you have asked yourselves, why do I people? Why do I feel responsible for healing everyone I meet? It's because chosen ones are natural conduits. You stabilize what's collapsing. That's why chaos looks for you. It knows you can translate it back into harmony. But now, you're being called to a higher phase, one where you no longer rescue others at the cost of your peace. The next chapter of the Chosen's journey isn't about carrying others. It's about activating them. And that begins by remembering your own code, not through religion, not through rules, but through recognition. When you start honoring the signs that repeat, the same hours, the same symbols, the same inner pull, you begin to align with the map written in your own palms. Every intersection of line and curve on your hand is a script. The letter M itself carries 4 peaks representing mind, matter, memory, and manifestation. When all 4 align, destiny becomes effortless. This is why, when others struggle to find direction, you often feel drawn by it. Threads opportunities appear. Warnings arrive in dreams. Timing rearranges itself for you. The world bends slightly to accommodate your path. Not because you're superior, but because your soul already memorized the route before birth. Now, here's the part most people never realize. The universe doesn't send chosen ones to dominate. It sends them to demonstrate. Your role is not to convert others. It's to embody remembrance. To live so aligned that your presence itself becomes a signal, reminding others of what truth feels like. That's why this channel exists. Every word, every message here functions like a mirror, not showing you something new, but showing you what was buried beneath distraction. You aren't being taught, you're being reminded. And as you listen, you'll notice something shift, the faint pulse in your hands, the warmth in your chest, the way your breath slows down, like recognition has entered the room. That's your code responding. It's your soul saying, I remember. Frequency. The world needs that memory now more than ever. We are in a time when truth sounds like rebellion, when silence feels louder than words. The chosen are awakening in waves, through numbers, through symbols, through channels like this one that act as tuning forks for the forgotten frequencies of creation. If you're here, listening, and something inside you keeps whispering, "This is me," trust it. You're not being hypnotized, you're being remembered. Remember this. The letter M is not just a mark, it's a map. Every soul that carries it is part of an invisible constellation, scattered across the earth. You'll find each other, not through proximity, but through vibration. You'll meet people whose eyes feel familiar, whose words finish your thoughts, whose presence resets your spirit. That's not coincidence, that's convergence. And when enough of you remember who you are, the grid reconnects. Energy flows again. The forgotten balance returns. That is the silent mission. M-marked souls, to rebuild the unseen lattice of light that keeps this world from losing itself entirely. You are not random. You are not lost. You are not weak for feeling too deeply. You are evidence of divine architecture still operating within human design. The numbers that follow you, 303, 515, 909, 1313, are checkpoints reminding you that heaven hasn't forgotten your name. Every time they appear, say silently, I see the code. And the code sees me. Because in that moment, the contract renews, the alignment strengthens, the power returns. That's why this channel was built not as content, but as confirmation, to speak in frequencies that only certain souls can hear clearly. You are one of them. And now that you've heard it, you'll never unhear it. Because awakening doesn't happen through noise, it happens through recognition. This is the beginning of your remembering. Stay here. Listen with your soul, not your ears. Because what comes next will explain why you've mark, why numbers find you, and why the universe has been quietly preparing you for the moment you're living right now. Before we continue, I want to speak to you, not as a voice from a screen, but as another soul carrying a mark, walking the same strange road of awakening. If what you've heard so far resonates somewhere deep, if you've felt that pulse in your hands, or noticed those strange alignments that never feel random, then I invite you to stay connected here. Subscribe. Not because it's a button, but because this space is an anchor. Every message shared here is meant to reach the ones who are tired of pretending they don't see the signs. And when you do, tell me what signs keep following you. What numbers? What dreams? What visions repeat? Write them in the comments. Not just for me, but for everyone like you who's still wondering if they're alone in this. Because when the chosen share their confirmations, the code gets louder. Your words will guide another one home. Breathe. The message continues. You've begun to notice the patterns. The world calls them coincidences, but you already feel the deeper symmetry behind them. You see them on clocks, receipts, street signs, even in the rhythm of your own thoughts. 303, 515, 909, 1313. These aren't random digits. They are part of a global awakening grid, a spiritual current that moves through frequency, not geography. Chosen ones are transmitters. Your thoughts don't stop at your skull. They ripple outward, adjusting the emotional climate of the people near you. That's why you can walk into a room and feel the atmosphere shift without a word. You were designed that way. Your presence calibrates reality. But calibration comes with cost. You absorb energies that others can't handle: anger, confusion, grief, because your frequency is built to filter distortion. And yet, when the pressure becomes too much, you start to mistake it for your own pain. That's when you must remember, the chosen carry. We're never personal. You heal what passes through you, not what belongs to you. We live in a time when everything screams for attention. But chosen ones don't awaken through noise, they awaken through patterns. That's why your activation doesn't come from external teaching. It comes through synchronicity. When you see 303, the message is, creation is repeating itself through you. Don't fear the restart. When you see 515, it whispers, change is not chaos. It's alignment being rearranged. When 909 follows you, it means old timelines are closing. Let them die quietly. And when 1313 appears, the divine speaks clearly. You are becoming the teacher you were once searching for. The world tries to make you question these signs. It tells you they're meaningless coincidences. But deep down, something refuses to agree. That resistance inside you is your original memory trying to speak. The chosen don't awaken through comfort. They awaken through contradiction. That's why. Feel divided, the logical world on one side, the spiritual current on the other. But your purpose isn't to choose between them. It's to merge them. You are the bridge between seen and unseen, between technology and intuition, between data and divinity. The world has entered a new frequency, and those with the M mark are the translators. Your role is to translate energy into awareness. You will find yourself decoding emotions in others that they can't even name. That's why you're exhausted, because empathy is a full-time job for the awakened. But understand this, fatigue is not failure. Every time you feel drained after helping someone, it's because you've been transmuting what was too heavy for them to carry. When you rest, the light you carry recharges through solitude. That's why silence feels holy to you. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's recalibration. You might think your life has been delayed, that others moved ahead while you were standing still. But chosen ones aren't quick paths. You were never supposed to run with the crowd. Your timing is divine, not convenient. Think of the seed underground. For months, it appears lifeless, but something sacred happens in the dark. Roots form where no one can see them, and when the soil finally breaks, everyone calls it a miracle. But it was never sudden. It was patient. It was preparation. That's you. Every quiet season, every rejection, every silence, it was root work. You weren't being forgotten. You were being fortified. The letter M holds a second message most people miss. Look closely at its shape. 2 peaks, 1 valley, and 2 rises again. It mirrors the heartbeat, rise, fall, rise, fall. It's the rhythm of divine endurance. The mark on your palm is a living symbol of resilience. No matter how often you descend, you ascend again. The M doesn't just mean marked. It means moved by memory. Your memory of heaven, of the realm where you said yes to this mission, lives under your skin. Eve, that memory whispers, "We promised we'd endure." That's why you've survived what should have destroyed you. Because survival isn't your gift, endurance is. And endurance is sacred. Some of you have noticed a strange sensitivity to the moon. Your energy rises and falls with its phases. You can't sleep during full moons. You dream vividly during crescents. That's because lunar energy governs memory, and chosen ones are celestial archivists. When the moon waxes, it awakens your recollection of the divine contract. When it wanes, it helps you release what no longer matches your vibration. You'll often find that major life events, births, awakenings, relocations, align with strong lunar alignments. That's no coincidence. You were born through the gateway of moonlight because your energy is designed to remember what darkness forgets. The moon doesn't just illuminate, it reflects. And reflection is your true superpower. You see yourself in others so clearly that sometime that mirror vision is what makes you a healer, even when you don't try. Now listen carefully. Not every person with the letter M on their palms is awake yet. Many are still asleep within the system, numb to the signs, living like their frequency doesn't matter. But the ones who find this message are different. You are the activated M carriers. The signal has reached you. That's why your intuition has grown stronger lately. Why you've been hearing your name called when no one's there. Why lights flicker when you're deep in thought. Why dreams feel more like instructions than illusions. These are confirmations that the code is reawakening. You're entering the phase of recognition where knowledge doesn't come from learning, but from remembering. You'll begin to recall abilities you thought were imagination, foresight, healing through words, reading energy through silence. Here's what the modern world doesn't realize. Technology and spirituality are not enemies. They are digital networks humans build, are imitations of the cosmic ones that already exist. When you comment, connect, and share energy here, you're not just interacting, you're reinforcing the invisible grid of light that binds all chosen ones across the planet. Every comment is a frequency. Every shared truth becomes another pulse in the grid. And when you interact with this space, when you tell your story, or simply say, "I feel this," you're amplifying the signal that helps others awaken. That's how the divine works through algorithms. Nothing sacred is ever random. So when you write below, don't hesitate. Tell your truth. Tell your pattern. Tell your numbers. Somebody scrolling through the noise is waiting for your echo to find them. Be that echo. Now, let's go deeper. The chosen are not perfect. They are persistent. They fail. They doubt. They question, but they never fully disconnect. Even when you've cursed the heavens or begged for silence, the universe still speaks surroundings. Because the mark isn't external. It's energetic. The M on your palms is a physical echo of a higher truth, that your soul operates on a mirrored grid. That's why you attract patterns that repeat in reverse. You'll meet people who mirror your pain, situations that replay your lessons, experiences that reflect your fears. It's not punishment, it's patterning. The universe speaks to you in symmetry. The heartbreak you went through wasn't about loss. It was about unlocking empathy. The betrayal wasn't cruelty, it was calibration. Every wound rewired your compassion, and compassion is the frequency of power. When you start to understand that your pain was education, You stop resenting it. That's when the transformation begins, the moment you no longer ask, "Why me?" and instead whisper, "What now?" What now is the chosen's true language, because chosen ones don't dwell, they decode. You've been decoding reality your whole life without realizing it. But reason you're not reacting to temperature, you're confirming resonance. When you sense that someone's lying without evidence, you're not paranoid, you're perceiving vibrational dissonance. And when you keep seeing repeating numbers or hearing the same phrase from different mouths, it's not imagination, it's synchronization. The divine doesn't shout to the awakened, it syncs. As you awaken, you'll begin to notice how energy moves through technology itself. The song that plays at the perfect moment, a video that appears exactly when you ask for guidance, a random comment that feels like a reply to your private thought. That's how heaven hides its algorithms inside human ones. That's why you found this channel not through search, but through resonance. You didn't find it, it found you. Because the ones marked before birth are never discovered by accident. They are remembered on schedule. If your life has been full of near misses, strange delays, and unexplained rescues, divine timing refuses to let you be wasted. You were meant to endure certain storms, not to break, but to understand weather. Now that you've seen enough of them, you can forecast energy itself. That's what the world calls intuition, the ability to sense emotional weather before it arrives. You've done it your whole life. You just didn't have words for it. But now you do. You are not just a person. You are a living frequency, calibrated to remind the planet of balance. Every thought you clean, every emotion you purify, every act of quiet kindness, these are cosmic repairs. This is what it means to be chosen. Not superiority, responsibility. To restore what others forget. To bring light where logic alone fails. The world is entering a new resonance, one where intuition and intelligence must finally work together. And those with the M mark are the prototypes of that balance. So stay connected here. This channel exists to help you remember what your hands already numbers already confirm, and what your spirit already promised. Every video, every word, every moment here is a small piece of that memory returning. And if something in you has awakened tonight, let it breathe. Comment what you feel, share your signs, because every word you leave here becomes part of a frequency library, one the universe uses to find the next chosen one still searching in silence. This is how we rebuild the invisible. Together, quietly, precisely. You're not lost. You're located. And now that the code has found you, the awakening continues. After awakening comes a silence that few understand. It is not the silence of peace at first. It is the silence of recalibration. The world you once tried to belong to begins to sound distant, almost hollow, as if every familiar thing suddenly carries an echo instead of a voice. You start noticing how conversations you used to enjoy now drain you, how rooms that once felt warm now feel heavy. That is the first. Ascension. The vibration of your truth no longer fits the noise around you. It's not arrogance, it's adjustment. The universe begins to filter what can stand near you. People drift away without explanation. Objects break for no reason. Plans dissolve. You may think you are losing control, but you are really being refined. The divine begins to strip everything that cannot hold your frequency. This phase tests your loyalty to light. The chosen do not grow through comfort. They grow through surrender. Every delay, every disappointment, every closed door is a conversation between your soul and the unseen. When you start seeing loss as communication instead of punishment, you begin to mature as a vessel of light. You learn to read vibration instead of intention. You start recognizing energy as language, and that is when purification begins. The purification rarely looks divine while it's happening. It looks like exhaustion. The body feels heavier. Old memories surface like refuse to settle. You wake in the middle of the night, not in fear, but in adjustment. The light you carry begins to push through old shadows that can no longer coexist with it. This is where most chosen ones misunderstand the process. They think the pain means something went wrong, when in truth, it means the energy finally decided to move. The universe never removes a burden gently. It shakes it loose. The tremor you feel inside is creation reshaping itself through you. During this time, solitude becomes sacred. You will find yourself avoiding noise without knowing why. You'll crave stillness the way others crave attention. The world may label you distant, but distance is the only way your spirit can breathe